Hi friends, welcome to story time. I am so glad that you're here. Today we are going to read a book called A Pattern for Pepper. Has anyone read this book before? I love this book. It's by Julie Krallis. What is a pattern? A pattern is something that has a repeating look to it, right? Or like triangle, circle, square, triangle, circle, square. Or a pattern could be like a fabric, or it could be like a rug. So it's something that's repeating. So let's find out what pattern Pepper is going to get in this story. I love this story. And then I'm gonna have you do some writing when we're finished reading. A pattern for Pepper. What is she sitting on? More clues. Spools of thread. Pepper needs a dress for a very special occasion. Only the most perfect dress will do. So she and her mother have come to Mr. Taylor's shop to have one made just for her. It's Pepper's first time at Mr. Taylor's, her family's favorite tailor shop, and the oldest and busiest in town. Does anybody know what a tailor shop is? Can you guess by looking? Let's see if we can read and find out. A bell tinkles as Pepper and her mother step into the warm and cozy store. Hello, I'm Pepper, and I need a dress for a very special occasion, she says. I'm pleased to meet you, Pepper, says Mr. Taylor. You've come to the right place. Okay, so she needs a dress, and she's in the right place. Let's see if we can figure out what a tailor is. What's he doing now? He's taking measurements. More clues. First things first, let's take your measurements, Mr. Taylor says. Pepper stands on the stool while Mr. Taylor starts measuring. Next, we'll need to choose the fabric for your dress. Fabrics and textiles come in all sorts of patterns, he says. Let me show you what I've got. Patterns are everywhere, says Mr. Taylor. See the floor? It's a herringbone pattern, inspired by a skeleton of a herring fish. We could use a herringbone pattern for your fabric for your dress. What do you think? Fish are nice, but it's too cold underwater for me. No, thank you, said Pepper. How about seersucker, like your mom's dress? It's perfect for this warm summer weather, Mr. Taylor says, opening the window. The word seersucker comes from the Persian shur-o-shaker, which means milk and sugar, because of its smooth and bumpy textures. I like my tea strong without milk and sugar. No, thank you, says Pepper. I want you to be thinking what fabric you would pick in this story. What pattern is your suit? Pepper asks. Ah, this is tartan. It comes from Scotland and is woven with wool in checked patterns. Tartan is used for clothing, hats, and even bagpipes. Oh no, bagpipes are just too loud. No thank you, says Pepper. The rug you're lying on is a houndstooth pattern, says Mr. Taylor. It has small, four-pointed checks that make shapes like hounds' teeth. My grandfather wore this fabric while hunting in the Scottish lowlands. Would houndstooth work for you? I like dogs, but special occasions require more color, I think. No, thank you, says Pepper. Who is this? Asked Pepper. Meet Icat, says Mr. Taylor. He's named after a fabric with a fancy hand-dyeing process. Ikat means to bind, to knot, to wind around in the Malay Indonesian language. That sounds complicated. Yesterday my hair was so knotty it took 4 hours to sort it out. No thank you, says Pepper. What pattern are my socks? Pepper asks with her feet in the air. Your sock pattern goes back to the 17th century or earlier in the western Scottish Highlands. Argyle is a design of overlapping diamonds and diagonal lines, and it's often used for golf clothes. I do like to play golf, but I think I want my dress pattern to be prettier than that. No thank you, says Pepper. See that man walking outside, says Mr. Taylor. His suit is a pinstripe pattern. Some baseball teams use pinstripes too, like the White Sox. How would you like pinstripe for your dress? He looks kind of glum. I need something extra fun for my special day. No thank you, says Pepper. Mr. Taylor is working really hard to think of something for Pepper. Take a look at this photo of your grandma, Mr. Taylor says. She married a fellow from Switzerland, and I made her wedding dress from a textile created there called Dotted Swiss. It's a delicate, lightweight fabric with a small dotted woven pattern on top. Oh, pretty, but too plain for me. No thank you, says Pepper. At least Pepper has good manners, right? The chair you're sitting on is made from toile, a fabric from France with hand-drawn scenes of the French countryside, says Mr. Taylor. This countryside looks too busy. No thank you, says Pepper. Mr. Taylor, what if I don't like any of these patterns? Not to worry, Pepper, Mr. Taylor says. Your perfect pattern is in here somewhere. I would describe Mr. Taylor as very patient. So let's see, your pattern has to be pretty and strong. It has to be warm and fun. Not too plain, but not too complicated either. Colorful, but not too busy. He stops and thinks, aha! I have just the thing. He pulls a bolt of fabric from the shelf. Pepper's eyes light up. That's it, she says. That's the one. Pepper and Mr. Taylor get to work sketching designs for the dress. Have you figured out what this shop does yet? They make clothes. A tailor makes clothes, or he fixes clothes you already have. So she needs a dress for a very special occasion, and he's gonna make that dress for her. When they finish their design, Mr. Taylor draws it on a huge roll of paper. He cuts out the pieces and pins them to the fabric. I can't wait to see it, can you? Then he cuts out the pieces of fabric, pins them together, and begins to sew. He works all afternoon. When it's time for a fitting, Pepper stands patiently as Mr. Taylor makes a few last alterations. The dress is finally ready. Where do you think she's gonna wear this dress, that she needs such a special dress? Look at her dress. Your perfect pattern is paisley, Mr. Taylor says, a very old pattern inspired by pine cones, the shoots of a date palm, and the pods of cashew fruit. Paisley was created in Kashmir, India, where it was used for hand-woven shawls and later became popular in the town of Paisley, Scotland, where the pattern got its name. Pepper hugs Mr. Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. It is perfect, she says. I can't wait to wear it. Pepper puts on her new dress for her special day. She arrives at her grandma's house for an afternoon of tea and croquet in the garden. Happy birthday, Grandma. I love your herringbone dress, she says. Pepper and her grandma sip tea, eat scones, and whack balls through hoops under the summer sun, each in her own perfect pattern. The end. So what was her special occasion? I think she wanted a beautiful dress to celebrate her grandma on her special day. So what I want you to do today is I want you to think of someone who is really special to you. Really, really special to you. It could be mom or dad. It could be grandma or a friend you miss. And I want you to write them a letter. I want you to write them a letter. You could create a card. You could write something special in it. Maybe they have a birthday coming up and you want to make them a card or write them a letter. And I want you to illustrate that letter, and I want you to take lots of time to make it very special. And then I want you to ask mom or dad or whoever is taking care of you to help you put it in the mail and send it to them. And I bet you're going to make their day so special as Pepper's dress. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow, I hope.